And hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today is not a candidate, but a leader inside the Alabama Democratic Party. Susan McKenney is my guest, and among other titles, Susan is a member of the Alabama State Democratic Executive Committee. She is chairwoman of the Marshall County Democratic Party. She is on the board of Alabama Equality. She is a retired journalist, and most importantly, she leads the Alabama County Democratic Chairs Associations. So, Susan, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to death to have this. You and I have known each other for, I think, about a year now,
Yes.
and have gotten to know each other, and we have really interesting conversations. So I'm interested in and looking forward to taking this one with you to another level.
Yes, anytime some news breaks about Alabama politics, Susan is usually the first person I text because I know she's going to have the inside scoop. She is a very well respected individual inside the Alabama Democratic Party. So, Susan, tell us, how did you get your start in political activism?
I think it's in my DNA, Jake. My father was a county chair, a Democratic county chair up in Chicago. My mother was very much involved with politics. My father, even though he was a Democratic county chair, he was a criminal defense attorney. So he was the attorney for the Republican Party in Illinois. And he said they always needed a good defense attorney. Um, but I just grew up in it. Ever since I was, probably early age 7 or so, I can remember being on those parade floats for school board stuff. And as soon as I was old enough to vote, I was given a precinct. I mean, this is your precinct, and you go out and develop it and work it and so forth. And so, anyway, I think it's in my DNA. I enjoy politics. I'm more of a behind the scenes type person. I enjoy the training and providing the resources for folks, that sort of thing.
You know, that's so important because that's one of the things that you always talk about when I see you at meetings is developing that precinct and bringing that mindset of Chicago style politics to Alabama that is so lacking. And I do agree with you. If you're going to be involved in Illinois politics, you do need a good attorney.
That is true. That is true. But the interesting thing is now I've been down here in Alabama for about 30 years now. Obviously, I'm what they call a damn Yankee. We're the Yankees that wouldn't leave. But I do want to say something that I hope that will endear me to your audience tonight is that my uncle was Frank Thomas. Frank Thomas was Bear Bryant's coach at Alabama. He brought Notre Dame style football south. And I always say that I'm bringing Chicago style politics to the South. And when I say Chicago style politics, is we organize down to the block level. What we're trying to do right now is organize at least to the precinct level. It's very different. You can't, it's apples and oranges when you compare rural Alabama to a municipality like Chicago. Totally different. And Birmingham's different, and Huntsville's different, and Mobile is different. And um, it's so difficult, I think, for an outsider to come into Alabama and think that you can do things the way you did them in another state. We're different here.
Yes, very much so. Speaking about Alabama, what is the current state of the Alabama Democratic Party beyond the fact we're the minority party?
True. I'd say that we're very much in what I would call a rebuilding process with the Alabama Democratic Party. When I first came here to Alabama and took over as a county chair, the Democrats dominated my county. And now it's just the reverse of that. And I do think that politics goes through cycles. I think we're long overdue for a new cycle to take place. I think we've been putting everything in place for that rebuilding. to take place, getting the proper people, getting the resources, training folks. I think it's different this time. I feel like something's different that we're moving. Maybe we're on that precipice of something about to happen. It does take time to rebuild a party, no doubt about it. But that's what we've been doing, and it's lots of different groups of folks. It's a very diverse group that I'm a part of, trying to rebuild our party so that it again become a powerhouse and we can start electing good people because nothing changes until we elect good people.
Right. You talked about at when you came here, Democrats dominated. And even at the local level, up until 2010 in my county, we had almost exclusive Democrats elected at the county level. And now it's just the opposite. And
Yeah,
I remember waking up after the 2004 election and finding out that George W. Bush had won my home county. And I was shocked because
yeah.
he was the first Republican since 72 to win. And it's just, like you said, I think it's very much overdue for a,
A
what,
shift.
yes. What is an interest, why is investing in the county parties so critical in Alabama?
Well, that's where the rubber meets the road, as we say. In Alabama, when there's an election, there's not one election. There's 67 elections. Each election in each county is overseen by the major parties. We're responsible for what? Inspecting the ballot machines, finding poll workers and poll watchers, certifying the election when it comes to the primary and so forth. There's just so much behind the scenes that a party is responsible for. And I guess that's part of our investing, even though we're not investing money, we're investing time and resources. As far as we do training all the time, we now have a library that we created about a year ago that every county chair can access 24 hours a day on any subject that you can imagine. They can find a tool or a slideshow or something that's going to help them through whatever issue they're dealing with at the moment.
That is one of the things fascinating in Alabama, count in some states parties pay for the primary and the state administers it. In Alabama, the state pays for the primary and administers it. But on election night, I watched for really the first time results coming in at the courthouse, and one of the seven envelopes that was handed with the results was handed to each of the party chairs. And that was fascinating to me, seeing that particular interaction take place.
Well, that's part of canvassing the election results. So we have 1 week after the election to open up those envelopes, to study those receipts that come out of the ballot machines, compare those to the results that were announced, the unofficial results that were announced on election night, and see if there's any discrepancies. And believe it or not, on occasion we do find discrepancies. And it's nothing nefarious. It might be just somebody lost a thumb drive or forgot to put a receipt in the envelope. I mean, there's could be all sorts of reasons. They just forgot to do. We do absentee ballots that some of them have to be hand counted. They might not pick up a hand count. So this gives, I guess, really gives the voter more faith in the system that there are people that are actually canvassing and making sure that those results are accurate.
Right. On election night, the results were announced, but you were looking at the receipt and making sure it adds up. And, that could be the difference between having a runoff and not having a runoff. Because in Alabama, you've got to get 50% to win.
Plus one.
50% plus one.
Yeah.
So, you could, and runoffs are extremely expensive, not just for the candidate, for the state as well.
That's right. Because you're paying for those poll watchers. And of course, notoriously, and this is a concern of ours because we do have a primary runoff election coming up on June 16th. Our U.S. Senate candidates, I think, are the big deal going on both the Republican and the Democratic side. You'll see a lot of news on that. But the turnout was notoriously low in the past, what, year and a half? These special elections we saw, I mean, there was one race where I think turnout was below 10%, 8.8, something like that. So I'm worried about this. What is the turnout going to be for this June 16th runoff election? If it was already, what, 23%, we'll call it for the state. And in my county, we were below that, just under 21%. And again, to your point about this costs money. And if we as voters don't get out there and vote, those ballots have to be recycled. You know, no probate judge wants to order up the wrong number of ballots for an election. You know, we're all trying to guess what's the turnout going to be. So I'll say if it was 23% statewide on May 19th, that we can probably maybe 15% or lower. I don't know. Scary.
Yes. And, generally, even talking a little strategy here, the primary runoff is won by the most engaged candidate who can get their supporters the most fired up. You may have a candidate who is far head and shoulders the better candidate, but if the opponent can motivate their voters to get out more, they're going to win. And
That's right.
that has been something we've seen many times in this state. And oftentimes, you can end up with a really low turnout getting a candidate who can drag the whole ticket down.
That's right. That's right. So, despite what everybody might go to the polls on June 16th and vote, you can vote Republican or Democrat based on which primary you participated in on May 19th. We know the rule, no
Or if you
crossover
didn't,
voting. Was that?
or if you didn't vote at all on May
That's right.
19th.
You can vote on either one. And then I want my record to always reflect that I voted. I want a good, clean record that shows I went to the polls and voted. If you cannot decide, or maybe you held your nose at both of the candidates that are on that primary election ballot that you choose, there's a little trick. You can vote a blank ballot. You can go in and show them your ID, get your ballot, and go straight to that ballot counting machine and put your ballot in that way. Now, the machine won't like it. It'll say, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And you do have to just verify that that is indeed what you want to do, is cast a blank ballot. I've never done it before. Of course, I'm a poll watcher, so I've seen it on results all the time where it's an undervote or a blank ballot was cast, something like that. So I'm we'll see. I mean, people are asking me lately about that particular thing.
Yes, I can imagine so. And
Can you?
we will not talk about what race that is, but I know which one it is.
Yeah.
What is the mission of ALDECA, your organization?
Okay. First of all, it is ADECA. It's
ADECA,
and
sorry.
there's no E in it. It's Alabama Democratic County Chairs Association. I think this is backwards, but we have little pins here. Um, Anyway, there are 67. You don't buy a membership. If you are a county chair, you belong. And it was a year ago, in February of last year, 25, that after, and I've been a county chair for a very, very long time. And we've had kind of a stagnancy where we were not really getting any training. There was no relationship between the county chairs and the party. And I know as a county chair how important they are to everything that goes on, as we just talked about with just elections. off years. I mean, we were organizing, trying to build our parties up and so forth.
Vetting
Uh,
candidates.
exactly. Vetting candidates, recruiting candidates, training candidates. There's just so much to do. It really is a big job. You have to be very passionate about politics to do this. But um, I had written this manual. Nancy Worley, years ago, who was a longtime chair of the party, she had written a manual originally about for county chairs. And I took her manual that was sitting stagnant for maybe, I don't know, 15 years, and I updated it for today. I think there were probably about 300 typographical errors in it, but just got it so that it was current with election law. And then we took it out on the road and started training the county chairs on it and their committees if they wanted to. We did the first one in my county, took it for a test ride, and everybody just was like, oh my gosh, I really need this. And then we just started doing more and more, providing more and more resources. Just anything from how to do a voter registration event to the big things, getting ready for the midterms, candidate or qualifying or sorry, certifying the elections, how to canvass, things like that. So we really go into depth on every matter we can think of.
And I was one of the people that saw your slideshow not long after you launched this organization, and you gave out little bitty cards with the QR code on it, and it had little bags of grass seeds.
No, 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 no. You're confusing it. That's a pack called Alabama Voters Pack that I was helping them out.
Oh,
That had
okay.
nothing to do with me.
Oh,
But that
I,
was planting a seed. We were trying to make this pack for this group that they're friends of mine. Trying to help them develop this pack that would be for the people, not so corporate, really grassroots, and kind of an adjunct, I guess, to the county chairs in a way. So no, it wasn't me, but I did design that. I did design it.
Now, I understand, from my understanding, other states have had groups like this for years. What took so long in Alabama? Was it just lack of interest?
I think they're still reticent to the whole thing. You know, I always say that there's all sorts of, as you know, adjunct groups that pop up all over the place. And it's because we give them a way in the door. If we were doing our job as a state party, we wouldn't need a DECA, right? Um, the state party would be doing all of the things that we're doing. So we did it because there was this lack of resources out there and leadership. And we just can't afford to wait any longer for somebody to step up. So we decided we'd do it ourselves. So it's got a good following. I mean, we had a meeting last Wednesday, 67 county strategy with Doug Jones. And we probably had, at least half our chairs on there um, to learn what we can do. Because now that we have our nominee, we don't endorse until we have a nominee as county chairs. We have to support candidates, uh, whoever they are, do whatever we can to facilitate and support them. So now that we have some nominees, we're going to town. So it's fun.
And we have a full ticket. I just love saying that we have a full ticket. And speaking of that, do you believe Alabama is on the cusp of a blue wave?
I know. Um, I'm not so sure. I mean, we're moving in the right direction. That is for sure. Um, I don't know. Every day I hope that something else happens in the national level because it does trickle down to us here. But I'm not so sure that we are. I think it's a steady, measurable rebuilding that we're having. I'm hoping that it's long lasting.
I uh, I like to say we're on the cusp in Alabama of a blue ripple. We're gonna pick up some seats in the legislature. I think we've got a really good chance, depending on some things in the next few days, of possibly picking up a congressional seat. I think CD2 is a lot more competitive, especially because of a national environment, than a lot of people think. After the Republicans have tried to illegally, in my opinion, steal that seat from a great representative in Shamari Figures. So I think there's a couple of statewide races that we could pick up. We've got a great candidate for governor, and we've got a candidate for state agriculture commissioner who has won every single county in the state before.
That's
So
right, Ron Sparks.
and let me tell you, folks, if you, Ron has been on the show before, that man, when he gets fired up and starts campaigning, is one hell of a campaigner.
You're not kidding. He's something else. So, yeah, we've got a great ticket. We really do. There's a lot of local races where there's some. I mean, I've got a Marshall County coroner race going on, and I think my candidate is going to be incredible. She's got medical experience. She's a medical professional, something I think every coroner should be. So, yeah, I think you're right. But I do think that it's not a way. It's it's groundwork. It's really important. And groundwork is what actually wins elections over time.
And having candidates in races matters because if you don't have candidates and you set out elections, the party goes stagnant and you don't know how to run.
Well, and the voters lose faith. They go to the polls, they see there's nobody on their ballot, and they end up voting maybe the other party's ballot or yeah, so it does it's very important. But you can't blame some folks for not running. You look at the numbers, you look at the environment, you think I'm just throwing my money away. I view it as an investment in the future, the next person coming behind, that we should always try to recruit candidates for every single race that's on the ballot. We want to give voters a choice.
Correct. And I'm a big believer in contesting every race as well.
That's right. That's right.
And even in some states, I know Georgia has a program in their state party, I believe, where if you contest every race, your county party gets extra funding for doing so.
What a great incentive.
Right. So let's talk about 2022. That was pretty much a low point for Alabama Democrats. Why is 2026 so different? And for my listeners who may not be Alabama local, I have some Maryland listeners. Um, our candidate for governor only got 29% of the vote in Alabama, which even for Alabama Democrats is a very low number. Why was 2022 so bad and 2026 so seemingly ripe with opportunity?
I think that we've got some things in place that we didn't have back then. We've got some different leadership folks in key positions. I think there's this strong collaboration between the counties right now. Better candidate recruitment, of course. Training and the resources that we've provided, I think, have been very helpful. And I think it's like a renewed commitment to good politics. This transparency thing that you witnessed the other night when in a meeting you and I were both at. Um, it's something's changed, and it may have been that we are really rejecting what's going on at the national level so much now that we want to go back to the basics of the Democratic Party. People that you could trust, that were transparent, that sort of thing, that fought for the people. We know now, understand, I think, what's important.
2022 was also in that race, we had a bunch of races we didn't even contest. I believe Will Ainsworth was unopposed. I believe Wes Allen was unopposed. I mean, you just had so many races where I went in there, and my only choice is a Republican and some crazy ass libertarian who I know nothing about, so.
Yeah, but the work is different this time. The environment is different. It's just a lot of things are different this time. So we've got to take advantage of these moments and put everything on the table.
Yes.
Really work hard. I think we're all trying to organize at that precinct level right now. I'm hearing that coming out of campaigns as well. We've got a lot to do, no doubt, but we are well on our way to being a different kind of Democratic Party in Alabama.
What race are you most excited about in Alabama this year, and who are the candidates who give you hope?
Um, I'll, I'll just say that maybe selfishly, I am really watching Amanda Pushchek. She is running for U.S. Congressional District 4, and she is a very different kind of candidate. And she's going up against Robert Aderholt, who has held that seat for, I think, 14 or 15 terms now. And he's been a target of ours for a very long time. I also chair U.S. Congressional District 4 for the Democratic Party. That's this other pin I'm wearing. And this is why we exist, is to beat Aderholt. So personally, I'm really working hard for Amanda Pushchek. I want to make sure that those 13 counties get out there and vote for somebody who's going to be a fighter for Alabama.
And Robert Aderholt is not. Robert Aderholt checked out on being a representative for North Alabama sometime during the Bush administration.
That's right.
I think at one point he probably had good intentions when he was, coming up, even though I disagree with his politics. I think he may have had good intentions at one time, but those have long passed. And I will say this, one thing about Adderholt that's always amazed me is he's never been able to capture that appropriations chairmanship that he claims, oh, I'm going to be chairman of appropriations, when the Republican Party has rejected him twice for that. So I think that shows how much respect he has within his own caucus. And
Mm-hmm.
the voters of the fourth district, please do us a favor and retire Robert Adderholt to the suburbs of Northern Virginia,
That's
where,
right.
where he
Yeah,
really lives.
that's right. Exactly. So,
Um, who's a rising star in the Alabama Democratic Party? Who are some of the rising stars?
well, some of them are so near and dear to my heart. And there's so many of them when I think about a lot are coming out of the Birmingham area. Um, you can see, we all know, I think I love Josh Coleman, who, along with Caroline Self, started Blueprint Alabama. They're doing amazing things on a whole different level. Smart, smart young people. Um, there's so many of them, John. I think of, I don't know, Josh Raby is a good friend of mine down in Birmingham. He's a young black man that ran for office and is a constable down there now, and very much a party player in what's going on locally there. Go down into the Mobile area. There's Brian Funamayor, who's a behind the scenes guy. Um, there are some folks that are older and just getting into politics that I find very interesting. I think that when you get to be a certain age, you have the time and the resources to devote to to the party. And that's why you see a lot of older people doing the day-to-day stuff that young people just can't do because they work, have families, and so forth. So we have to just be tolerant of each other. I'm a boomer. You're a what? Gen Xer?
Millennial,
You're
confirmed
a millennial.
millennial.
Okay. So you're a millennial. So there's so many of us. I never saw these groups by age when I was growing up in politics. Mentored under so many really smart people. I mean, you get your information and your knowledge experience from the older folks. And this is nothing I want to do for the rest of my life. I'd like to, be mentoring younger people so that they have this knowledge to take over.
One of the things that I think Republicans often miss, they always made fun of the protests that we had last summer and last fall. Of, all look at all these old people. Well, let me tell you something. Now, I'm a confirmed millennial and a hardcore millennial promoter, but your older voters, your voters who are in that 55 and up category, are you most likely to vote? They're going to be the ones licking the envelopes, making the phone calls, and knocking on the doors in the campaigns. You don't have to beg or prod them to vote like you do the younger generation. And that to me is key because they're fired up and they're going to be there on election day. And if they're as pissed as I think they are, it's going to be bad news for the Republican Party. And
And we've been doing it forever. We've been doing it. I mean, in my case, since this probably the 70s. But we are getting tired of it. We really would like to relax and enjoy life. So let's get this straight, and then maybe we could have 50 years of peace, right?
yes, I will say this. There's some asshole though in the White House that we've got to deal with first, and we need experienced hands at the helm to get us through these troubled waters that we're
Yeah.
in.
Hmm.
Personally, I think Shamari Figures, um,
Love Shamari.
uh, Philip Ensler, uh,
Yeah.
Josh Coleman, who you were talking about, Caroline, those are, all great rising stars. Neil Rafferty is another one, representative in
Absolutely. Yep.
Birmingham area. Marilyn Lands, although she's not, I mean, she's
She's a rising star, but
right
yeah, she definitely is.
in the Huntsville area. And
She's wasted no time either
oh
in
no,
putting out legislation that really is meaningful.
and
So she's incredible.
one of the things great about Marilyn Lands is she didn't run as a moderate. She ran as an open progressive and won a state house seat in a special election when the Republican who she had ran against got convicted of voter fraud after the election. So,
Mhm.
what is your most inspiring moment you've experienced in Alabama politics?
Um, I'll say it's not the politicians really, it's the people that you get to meet. In my position, of course, I have met all kinds of great people. Howard Dean, of course, Bill Clinton. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I've been to two DNC conventions, Democratic National Committee conventions. The last one was the one in Chicago, and I was in Denver. So you get to meet all sorts of incredible people. But I really enjoy meeting the people like me who are doing what I'm doing, out there trying to make a difference every single day. I think I really do enjoy that. The young people that are going to make a difference, I think, in the future. I enjoy that. It's like I like to hear their stories. What possessed them? What changed? How are they different? Because in Alabama, you don't see a lot of politics discussed in the home or in social settings. It's sort of like a taboo thing. And I think if we can talk about politics, and make it just a regular thing, certainly we don't want to wake up every morning and say, what did Trump do today? You know, but we want to talk about great things that we can make a difference if our politics are in the right place. So
Uh,
I'd say it's the ordinary people, Jake. Like you, Jake. I enjoyed meeting you when I first met you.
Yes, I had always had an interest in politics. I had always been, kind of semi engaged, but after some health issues and also the 2024 election, I said I got to get involved. I've got experience, I've got the knowledge to, help a change in Alabama. So I got involved with my local party, and now we're here. And I mean, at this point last year, if you'd told me, hey, Jake, you're going to be about to go serve on the Alabama State Democratic Executive Committee, I would have said, no, you're lying. I'm not. But here I am.
I
Um,
know. We're going to have to carpool.
I know.
I know. This is going to be great. I can't wait to expose you to all of this.
Uh,
And you and I talked the other day. The latest training that we're doing here with the Alabama Democratic County Chairs Association is going to be a guide to the August quadrennial, which is our every 4 years we reorganize the state party. And it can be quite a challenge because there's a lot going on in the room. And this year, not only are we seating a whole new group of folks to represent Alabama at the state party, but we'll elect new leadership. And we're also going to elect our DNC representatives and have the Democratic National Committee in the room as oversight for that particular election. I think this is the third or fourth time we've tried to get this right. So it's going to be a really interesting meeting on that day. And I just thought it would be helpful for all the new folks to know what to expect. Everything from getting your credentials to attending caucus meetings. We have district meetings. There will be amendments if we have time to the bylaws. There's a lot to go on at a meeting like this.
Oh yes, oh yes, and we won't get into too much of the weeds, but there is definitely divisions and factions that can cause problems at these meetings. But hopefully that will not be an issue this August, and we're going to elect
Cross our fingers.
a chair that is committed to electing Democrats and not Republicans.
That's right. We want
Uh,
progressive reform ideas at the state party level.
How can listeners find out more information about the work of your organization and possibly donate to it or, support it?
Okay, first of all, we are a PAC.
Mm.
So if you're a candidate, you can't give to us. But an ordinary person can give to us. We don't take a lot of donations. There's not a lot of expense here at our level. Everything we do is really sharing ideas and so forth. Um, Once a year, we give ourselves a luncheon, and generally we pay for it ourselves. But we do have a website, alabamademchairs.com. I'm sorry, .org. We're on social media. We have a Facebook page. I think we're on TikTok. Um, but we're doing more and more. We're trying to get out there more and more. We do events, a lot of events. And the thing what we like folks to do is contact your local county. That's where we really want to see you start out. If whatever county you live in, there is a Democratic Party. Find that Democratic Party and say, I'm here to help. What can I do? We need you. There, and no doubt we need you. We have a very active group in Marshall County. I know you do in Jackson County. You'll see this growing and growing. I mean, we've got great meetings. Then last week when we had our meeting in Marshall County, down the street, the Republicans were meeting. We had more people at our event than they had at their event.
And both parties had the two United States Senate candidates for one of these four men will be one of 100 U.S. senators, and they were in Marshall County, Alabama. which is not a small county, but it's also not a huge metro
That's
county. It's
right.
a medium-sized county, and they were there trying to talk to voters. And I will tell you this, there was definitely energy and passion in that room at the Gunnersville Public Library. I doubt the energy and passion was at Wenzel's Oyster House. Now,
I know.
I must say that the Republicans, got oysters and we got fireworks. So
True, though. It's true. But I am so proud of our members and how they handled everything and the demanding of just, they wanted to know the issues. Let's differentiate yourself rather than bicker about other things. So, anyway, we won't go into that too much. But I'm very proud of what I do, and I know we're making a difference every single day. We know that we increased our turnout in our county by what's 157%. It was incredible. And if we can just continue to make those steps, doing things methodically, we'll get there. We will. The good guys always win. I always say that.
that is true. And Susan is correct. There was an incredible turnout across the state in Democratic primaries. And in some counties, we even outvoted Republicans. And
Madison
in
County.
Madison County, Jefferson, Mobile, Montgomery. And here's one thing I want people to take away. More people voted against Tommy Tuberville for governor than voted for him in basically an uncontested Republican primary. He had Alabama Will and McFeeters running against him. And in my opinion, those people that voted for Alabama Will and McFeeters are likely Democratic voters in the fall. And in some counties, the weight of the Republicans might have had more ballots cast, but the weight of the anti-Tuberville vote pushed the Democratic vote up too.
Yeah,
So things to keep your eyes on.
I
Susan,
know.
thank
Thank
you
you.
for joining us. As I would like to say,
Let's do it again.
yes, she is the second most knowledgeable person about Alabama politics I know. She teaches about the real on the ground knuckle work of it, and the academic work that I learned was Dr. Owens at Jacksonville State, and so both of those people that I've learned so much about Alabama politics from are women and very passionate about what they do.
Well,
So,
thank you. Thank you very much.
yes.
Pleasure. All right.